get over to NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen. John, you know, it's such a remarkable day. We're seeing the end of the government shutdown, and we are seeing the cloud of Epstein over all of this. You heard the House Speaker right there talking about this discharge and his move to attempts, at least, to put this on the House floor. I mean, all of that is coming on a day in which we now understand that the president and the Trump administration was meeting with at least one member of Congress and Pam Bondi to try to put a little bit of a kibosh on the talk of Epstein. What do you make of all this today?
Well, number one, if you're the White House and if you're Speaker Johnson, you should be focused on, you would like to be focused completely on the government reopening here. But you've spent a lot of today concerned about the Jeffrey Epstein story. And the reason they're concerned about it is the same reason that the House members were able to put together 218 signatures on the so-called discharge petition, which basically forces the leadership to bring a resolution to the floor when the leadership doesn't want to, and the leadership didn't want to, Speaker Johnson and others. So all that is to say that basically there is bipartisan support for releasing all of the Epstein files from the Justice Department. We have not seen that. We've seen some that the Justice Department turned over to the House Oversight Committee in the past, but there's not been a full revelation. And you see calls from that, not only from Democratic members of Congress, but a handful of Republican members of Congress, and a lot from MAGA-based supporters. A lot of Donald Trump's own base has been calling for this for many years now.
Yeah, I mean, so are we seeing the House Speaker basically being forced to put this on the calendar in the near future here? Or, I mean, it does seem as though he is fallen somewhat in line with those that are calling for transparency. Is that what you see, or do you see that he is trying to side with the president here?
All of the above. And this is the devil of politics if you're the Speaker of the House. He's got the president on one side. Certainly, the president says he wants transparency, but his actions suggest otherwise. The Speaker says he wants transparency, but his actions have generally suggested otherwise. But the majority of House members have the ability under the rules to override the Speaker and basically force legislation onto the floor. The problem for Johnson is not just the handful of Republicans who have signed on to this discharge petition, which, by the way, is seen as a traitorous act when a majority party member signs on to one of these discharge petitions, but it is a number of other Republicans that we would expect will vote in favor of forcing the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. So he's basically between a president and the majority in the House, and he, of course, runs the House, but tries to do what the president wants. And so we've seen him kind of flounder a little bit. You know, first he refused to seat a newly elected Democratic member of Congress for several weeks in order to avoid this fate. Now, finally, today he tried to bring up under unanimous consent, or one of his colleagues did, you know, the legislation, and the Democrats basically objected to it. They would like to see the Republicans vote on which ones of them want to actually open it up and which ones of them do not, because a unanimous consent request, had it gone through, there would be no recorded vote, and the public would not be able to see who wanted to hide the Epstein files and who wanted to have them released.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to sum it up, like, I've never seen lockstep and division happen on the same day within hours of each other like we've seen today. Turning back to what we're seeing with the government shutdown, like, there have been so many hot takes out there, everything from the Democrats totally got played and got nothing out of this deal to maybe this is going to hurt Trump and the Republicans in the new year if premiums do shoot up. How do you see this playing out in the long term past December?
Let's start with the short term. In the short term, and there may be many reasons for this, but in the short term, you've seen the president's approval ratings go down during the shutdown. Most of the polling organizations, most of the independent polling organizations have shown him basically at his lowest numbers. I think the Associated Press has him at about 37 or 36% approval rating. So whether or not the shutdown did that, it certainly didn't stop his numbers from sliding. So in the short term, I think the Democrats saw some progress over the course of the last last several weeks. And of course, the elections last week in New York and New Jersey and Virginia and California and even in Georgia looked good for the Democrats. So I think they felt like they had some momentum. The long term is harder to judge. I mean, we'll have to see what the midterms look like. That's a year away. It could be that, as Speaker Johnson just suggested, the voters will blame Democrats for the shutdown, or it could be, as Democrats are banking on, that the Republicans will either be forced to continue subsidizing the Affordable Care Act insurance policies or face the wrath of voters for letting those subsidies expire and watching people's premiums increase.
And now that the government shutdown has at least been settled for the time being, and those in Congress may start hearing from their constituents beyond the government shutdown, like health care and the ACA benefits, those are a major sticking point in a lot of ways across the aisle. Like, are Republicans feeling pressure to?
Should have been passed in the first place. The vast majority of them voted to repeal it during Donald Trump's first term. And the vast majority of them don't believe that it should continue to be subsidized at the levels that it was during the pandemic. That said, if you're a Republican in a competitive district or a competitive state heading into the midterms, and you have a significant share of your population benefiting from those health care subsidies, you are in a position where you would like to see that resolved so that you don't face the backlash from voters in the midterms. And just to broaden it a little bit, it's not just about health care. I think the health care issue has put a fine point on it, but Americans are obviously very upset with costs, with affordability. Democrats talked about that heading into last week's elections. That was the thing that unified Democrats from Zohran Mamdani, the very liberal Democrat, the Democratic Socialist in New York, to the more moderate Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, who won governor's elections in Virginia and New Jersey, although I reversed the states there. That was the common theme. And then President Trump has been working this week to try to find ways to alleviate pain for Americans, whether it's his suggestion of sending out $2,000 checks to everyone, or 50-year mortgages, both of which have seemed to have fallen by the wayside pretty quickly. They are against Republican orthodoxy and also quite expensive. One expensive for the taxpayer is the $2,000 going out the door, and the other one for people getting mortgages who would have to pay greater interest rates over time, or greater amounts of interest over time. But there's clearly among the American people an outcry for help in terms of affordability, in terms of the cost of daily life compared to their wages. And that is something that has been pretty consistent from the Biden administration through the early part of the second Trump administration.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.